The disaster nobody saw coming. How do you ruin a story that's enchanted the world for almost a century? How do you take a beloved, magical, universally loved tale and turn it into one of the most epic box office disasters in modern cinema? Disney figured it out, and it wasn't by accident. This was a perfect storm of arrogance, political messaging, poor casting decisions, and a star who seemed to do everything in her power to alienate the audience before the movie even came out. At the center of the wreckage, Rachel Zegler, a rising star with raw talent but a personality that lit fires across the internet. The result? Empty theaters, furious fans, brutal reviews, and a $200 million legacy turned to dust. But this isn't just about a movie. It's about a shift, a warning sign, and the moment Hollywood realized it had lost the plot. Go woke, get broke. The prophecy fulfilled when Disney announced the live-action remake of Snow White. It looked like another guaranteed hit. The ingredients were all there: nostalgia, music, big budget, global branding. But something went wrong. Early leaks revealed that the story would no longer revolve around romance or innocence. Instead, the focus was on a more empowered princess, one who didn't need love, didn't need a prince, didn't even care about him. And while that might sound fine on paper, it meant ripping out the very heart of a classic. Critics warned Disney, go woke, get broke. The studio didn't listen. And then the numbers came in: $200 million spent, $43 million opening, the lowest launch of any Disney live-action remake ever. This wasn't just a stumble. It was a collapse. Rachel Zegler. From start to storm, when Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White, some praised the move. She had a strong voice, charisma, and had just starred in Spielberg's West Side Story. But buried beneath the surface was a social media trail, one filled with controversy. Zegler had posted attacks on Trump voters, tweeting things like, "F Donald Trump. If you support him, I hope you never find peace." And she wasn't some background actress, she was the face of a Disney family film. Even those who weren't politically right-leaning found it off-putting. Because when you're headlining a movie meant for all audiences, alienating half the country doesn't exactly sell tickets. Disney tried to manage the damage, delaying the movie, canceling press junkets, and hiring a social media handler for Zegler. But the internet doesn't forget, and the backlash was already unstoppable. Where are the dwarfs? Another red flag. The dwarfs were gone. One of the most iconic parts of the original 1937 film, The Seven Lovable Dwarfs, had been erased. Why? It all started when actor Peter Dinklage criticized the film, calling the inclusion of dwarfs backwards. In response, Disney panicked. They removed the dwarfs altogether and replaced them with CGI magical creatures. Some tall, some short, some just bizarre. Little person actors were furious. They weren't offended by the original roles, they were upset that their few chances at big screen representation were stripped away. This was supposed to be progressive. Instead, it was erasure. Disney wanted praise. What they got was outrage from both fans and actors. No romance, no magic, no heart in the original Snow White. Love is at the core. But this new version, it threw that away. Rachel Zegler openly mocked the idea of romance in interviews, calling the prince a stalker and saying her character had no interest in being rescued. Even worse, Disney deleted "Someday My Prince Will Come," one of the most iconic songs in Disney history, and replaced it with a bland, feminist ballad that critics described as soulless. For audiences who grew up dreaming about fairy tales, it felt like an attack on childhood itself. The message was clear. This wasn't your mom's Snow White. This wasn't anyone's Snow White. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher agree for once. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher rarely agree on anything. But Snow White changed that. Rogan slammed the film on his podcast, calling it proof that Hollywood fears backlash more than it values good storytelling. Bill Maher went even further, calling the remake offensive in its overcorrection. He blasted the decision to remove romance, mock tradition, and erase the dwarfs. He even highlighted the irony. In trying to avoid offense, Disney ended up offending just about everyone. For once, both left and right agreed this was bad, not just as a movie, but as a cultural signal. The Ghost Town premiere in March 25, 2025. Rachel Zegler walked into a theater with a few close friends. They were there to see the film she had poured herself into, but when they arrived, the theater was empty. Not quiet. Empty. Her friends tried to keep the energy up, cheering awkwardly when her name appeared on screen. They even approached a Regal employee to join in on the fun. It didn't help. The whole thing felt like a birthday party no one came to. Even the Snow White popcorn bucket looked embarrassed. It was a new low, and a symbolic one, inside the Disney meltdown behind the scenes. Disney was scrambling. Reports of studio panic emerged, rumors of internal fights, reshoots, and emergency marketing meetings. Executives were shocked at how deeply unpopular Zegler's comments had been. Some insiders even admitted they tried to shift the narrative mid-production, but by then, it was too late. A legacy film, a global brand, a $200 million budget. And now, a cautionary tale. Disney had fumbled the ball big time. The public verdict: you mocked us, what did you expect? The public response was brutal. Comment sections filled with outrage. You erased everything we loved. You mocked tradition and insulted fans. Why would we support you? Disney doesn't care about us anymore. Merchandise sat on shelves, unsold. Snow White dolls, posters, collector items untouched. Even loyal Disney fans began to question the brand. What happened to the magic? What happened to stories that brought people together? The real moral of this story: 2025 Snow White didn't fail because it was different. It failed because it was disrespectful. It failed because it lectured instead of inspiring, because its lead actress alienated the very people she needed, because its writers gutted the soul of the story, and because Disney, once the master of timeless tales, forgot that stories only work when they connect to the heart. There's still time for the company to course correct, but only if they remember what made Snow White a classic in the first place. Not political messaging, not CGI creatures, but magic, innocence, hope. And yes, a little bit of love. Rachel Zegler appeared downcast as she was seen in New York City this week, following the disappointing box office turnout for her latest film, Snow White. The 23-year-old actress, whose outspoken political views have been cited as a factor in the film's poor reception, was photographed walking her golden doodle, Lenny, dressed casually. Rachel wore an oversized denim jacket layered over a blue shirt, paired with loose gray sweatpants and Adidas sneakers. Her long dark hair was held back by a wide black headband, and she seemed to go makeup-free for the outing. Observers also noted a green, star-shaped pimple patch on her forehead. Disney is reportedly facing a $115 million loss on the Snow White remake, which has been plagued by online review bombing campaigns and calls for boycotts, some coming from both fans and critics of Zegler to co-star Gal Gadot due to their differing political stances, with production costs estimated at $270 million before marketing and distribution. The film has struggled to recoup its investment. Its lackluster performance has prompted Disney to put a temporary hold on its planned live-action adaptation of Tangled as the studio reassesses its current creative direction. Critics offered mixed reviews upon the film's release, with some highlighting issues with the CGI dwarves and the modern reinterpretation of the classic tale. The updated storyline transforms Snow White from a traditional, dreamy princess into a figure of feminist empowerment, an approach that sparked divided reactions among audiences. Final question to viewers: what do you think? Could Disney have saved this film by staying true to the original, or was the combination of politics and poor casting always going to sink it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit subscribe for more deep dives into pop culture chaos, and brace yourself, because if Snow White is any indication, the next remake might be Eve.